All right, let's bring in Jake Elliott now to talk more about another very interesting week in the National Lacrosse League. No more unbeaten teams. Halifax going down to Toronto, Jake, is where I want to start because Toronto's shorthanded here without some of their best players, yet still beat Halifax. Explain this.
Yeah, I probably should have changed my shirt or something, but cool to throw the people off here a little bit, Tom. But listen, I've had a couple of tough weeks making my game picks over the last couple of weeks here in the NLL, 2-3 again this week for yours truly. So I'm a little perturbed, but give Toronto all the credit in the world here. No more unbeatens in the National Lacrosse League, and again, like I think we're getting back to where we've kind of been the last 3-4 years in this league, where anybody can beat anybody on any given night. We saw it again just over there in New England as well, with the Vancouver Warriors making the trip across the country and beating the Black Wolves. So give it up to Toronto. That's an impressive win for them, and that kind of puts the rest of those two Eastern Conferences or divisions on notice that the Rock are going to be players in this conversation come the end of the year as well. And I like it, man. No more undefeateds, right? So everybody's fair game now, but Halifax is still going to be a nasty piece of business, no question about it.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned New England, only scoring 6 goals against Vancouver, and kind of struggling the last couple of weeks, to be honest, even at home, which is sort of sticks out. And we had said this at the beginning of the year. They didn't, they had a little of that Jekyll and Hyde feel last year. Now it's sort of getting back to that feel, which isn't a great thing, right?
No, but I honestly think, Tom, it's just the ebbs and flows of an 18-game season, right? Like you're not going to play your best lacrosse for 18 games in a row, and you're not going to play your worst lacrosse for 18 games in a row. And New England was a bit of an anomaly last year with that crazy home record and that poor road record that they had. But I think everything's just kind of starting to balance out a little bit. But for me, I mean, New England, okay, but let's start talking about Vancouver here a little bit, Tom, because now you're talking about a 7-5 victory over the Colorado Mammoth, and now you're talking about a 10-6 victory over the New England Black Wolves. And this Vancouver team has been notoriously known for giving up a bunch of goals against other teams. And let's not forget Dan Richardson making the decision just a couple of weeks ago after Eric Penny kind of has pushed himself into that starting role, that they were going to cut ties with Aaron Bold and they were going to hitch their wagon to EP61, who will be on Lacrosse Classified this week, by the way, Tom.
Right.
That he was going to be their number one guy, and he has rewarded them in spades with 11 goals against in their last 2 games. And all suddenly now Vancouver is like this defensive juggernaut, and they did this without Matt Beers in their lineup. They did this without Logan Schuss in their lineup. And now they got a big weekend coming up here at home against Buffalo on Friday, then into Rochester on Sunday. So that is a huge weekend for Vancouver coming up. Buffalo Friday at home, Rochester in Rochester on Sunday. That's a tough weekend in the National Lacrosse League right there.
Yeah, and the West seems to be getting better as the year goes on, for sure. Let's head back to the other side. You mentioned Buffalo. I mean, they're just there with they're another one-loss team. They're up there with the one-loss teams now. All of a sudden, they've just been, it feels like, a little under the radar. I mean, with some of their games, but still, coming in clutch. Chris Kluche, I think, is a guy that's really stepped up for them, with some of the attrition they had last year. Do they feel like a team that can do what they did last year with just the way they've been playing?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're there. I think the consistency. Listen, Matt Vince is not having his best year by any means right now, but I think he'll figure it out. Like he's a seasoned veteran in this league, and I think it'll just take him a little time to kind of get back into the groove a little bit. But he's not playing his best lacrosse right now. But Buffalo is outscoring their goaltending issues right now. And it's a nice little segue that you just gave me here, because Corey Small, along with Eric Penny, will be the guest here on Lacrosse Classified this weekend. Back-to-back overtime victories here for Corey Small. He scored the last 2 overtime. Colorado, he gets it in Colorado, and then he gets another one for the Bandits to win that one. So Buffalo, I think, there's some room for improvement there, no question about it, but they're having some fun. And more than anything there in Buffalo, I think that is a group that really likes to be around each other, and they have fun when they're together in Buffalo, and that'll take you a long way in a lacrosse locker room. So I don't think they're playing their best lacrosse. They're not playing their worst lacrosse. They're still getting victories right now, and Matt Vince is only going to get better. So to answer your question in a long-winded way, Tom, yes, I think Buffalo can absolutely get back to where they were a year ago.
You mentioned Matt Vince, and we were talking about this last week too. Vince, it seems like he started slowly last year, but I mean, it's not really the beginning of the year anymore. And you look at maybe some of these goalies that in the last couple of years have been dominant across the league. They aren't at the top of at least the stats at this point. Some of those other new guys that newer to the scene, maybe like a Penny, like you mentioned, and you look at like a Poulin who had been playing so well, and even Del Bianco, and guys like that aren't playing at the elite level they have. Why? It's kind of baffling, I guess, considering how consistent a lot of those guys have been.
Yeah, and again, like I think it's just the ebb and the flow, and everything's going to level out here eventually. But yeah, you look at Zach Higgins, you look at Warren Hill. These guys are playing maybe above their punching weight right now. I don't know if they can keep it up for a full season. I hope they can. But Dylan Ward, who was just sensational for about 4 or 5 game stretch there, now has had a couple of games where I wouldn't say he struggled, but he hasn't been at his best. And Del Bianco, he just won himself a title last year. These guys know how to get through a year, get their teams into the right positions, and then kind of ramp it up in the later half of the season, the back quarter or whatever, and get themselves ready for playoff time. So I think everything, you're seeing young guys kind of standing out a little bit above their punching weight right now. You're seeing the vets maybe playing a little bit below their punching weight right now. And as the season goes along, as we cross the halfway mark, get into the back half of things here, you're going to see the cream start to rise to the top once again. And I think everything will kind of balance out and be where it was. Like these guys, like you mentioned, in Vince and Poulin, these guys are established veterans in this league that have been around a long time, and there's a reason for that, right? They're proven winners year after year, and they'll get back to that form before too long here, and they better, because these young guys that are making the push, man, like I don't know if they're going to slow down. I hope they don't, but we'll see if they kind of come back down to earth a little bit.
Yeah, these games get a little bit more important with the way the playoffs are in these divisions this year too. Something to keep in mind. Jake, we appreciate the time tonight. Thank you.
Just a reminder, game of the week coming up this week in the National Lacrosse League. Colorado, Saskatchewan, who is off this weekend, practicing in Toronto all weekend long, so no games for the Rush. But they get a return shot at the Mammoth this week. Myself, Ryan Flaherty, will have the call. Twitter, Facebook, BR Live, all of it for the NLL Game of the Week this week.
Looking forward to it, Jake. We haven't seen enough of Saskatchewan. Played only, 5 games this year? We got to get another little glimpse of what they look like.
Ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But they play every single weekend this month. I cannot wait for it to get rolling. I miss my Rush. Rush right here.
Big February. Thanks, Jake.
Thanks.